This is Mumbai, the city of dreams, and visiting will make you totally rethink everything you thought you knew about India. And even now, I'm still trying to figure out if visiting is worth it. I flew up to Mumbai from Kochi, and if you've watched my previous videos about Kerala, you'll notice right away that the two places could not be any more different. You feel that as soon as you land into the airport. I mean, the energy is electric. It screams luxury. There are fountains all over the place. This elephant is covered in gold. Yeah, we're not in Kerala anymore. I hopped in a cab to my hotel, which is located in the very touristy and popular island region of Mumbai, known as Colaba. Of everywhere that I stayed during my month in India, this hotel was the most expensive by far, and it was the smallest, and it didn't have any windows or a private toilet I had to share. It's called Abode Bombay, and while it is very small, I do have to say that the people who ran it were really kind, and they sort of made up for their deficiencies with incredible hospitality. I mean, just look at these little digestive candies that they put on my bed after dinner. Precious. But there's no doubt that I was paying the price for the location. The hotel is located basically steps away from the most popular tourist attraction in Mumbai, the Gateway of India, which was great because I learned pretty quickly that I was going to have to see it and pretty much every other tourist attraction in Mumbai for that matter on my own. I took some absolutely incredible tours in India, both before and after my time in Mumbai, and for very reasonable prices. But the price for a tour of any kind for a solo traveler was insane. Like $100 or more for less than a half-day tour. It was easily 3 times the amount that I paid anywhere else in India. For comparison, I went on 2 of the best tours of my entire life in Varanasi and in Kolkata, and those were just about $35 for the whole day. Videos from those cities are coming very soon, by the way, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss them. But because of the price, I decided that I wasn't gonna do any tours in Mumbai, so I decided to just explore the area on my own. I became determined to figure out if visiting Mumbai was worth it. If it's going to cost 3 times as much as anywhere else in India, it better be 3 times as good. It was raining, again, so that didn't help. But any traveler worth their salt knows that rainy days are meant for museums. And Mumbai has a pretty famous one right in the middle of Colaba. It's called, okay, let me take a breath. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya. That name goes crazy. It costs foreigners 700 rupees to enter, which is about $8.50 in US dollars, and the price includes an audio guide, which I appreciated. The museum has several different levels of exhibits, including some really interesting artifacts surrounding different periods of time within Indian and even Egyptian history. There are just some stunning works of art, and there's even this Himalayan art gallery, which I think had some of my favorite pieces from the entire museum, and I was satisfied with just that. But as I was leaving, I looked over and realized that there's a whole second building. It was added at some point a little bit later, and it has this whole natural history section. You know, those museums that have like taxidermy animals on display. You can find this sort of thing at some museums in the US, but this one has animals that are specifically indigenous to India, which I thought was really cool. It's a museum that has a lot going on, and with there being just an absolute downpour outside, I was super grateful to be able to spend a few hours there. I finished and was famished, and the rain was still raining, but luckily, restaurants are usually indoors, so I knew what my next activity was. Within walking distance from the museum, there was a very well-reviewed restaurant which features food from various different regions around India. I specifically was looking for food that represented the state of Maharashtra, which is where Mumbai is located. And so, I felt like I had a good chance at a restaurant named Folk. I had a great server who provided all the recommendations, and I ended up ordering something called a Kachi Keri Lassi, which is basically a yogurt-based mango smoothie. Can't go wrong there. Along with my main course, Konkani Chicken Sukha. Now, I have no idea what that means. Like I said, it was recommended by the server, and beforehand, he asked me if I was okay with spicy food. And I am, so I said yes. And in that moment, I saw a devilish twinkle in his eye. He set down the food in front of me as if it were a challenge. And he didn't know this, but I'm competitive. Challenge accepted. It was for sure spicy, but I did really appreciate that they actually gave me spicy food here. Usually at the other Indian restaurants, they take all the spice out when they see that it's a foreigner, but I was up to the task. I ate the whole thing. Well, except for the bones. Actually, I do think I accidentally did end up eating one bone. Everyone was impressed. I took a victory lap around the restaurant. I had earned their respect. And as if God himself wanted to reward me, the rain finally looked like it was about to stop. I scurried back to my hotel and I showered and I changed because there was only one place that I wanted to watch the sunset in Mumbai, and it was free and the sun was actually out, and so time was of the essence. What the hell? Time was of the essence. It's the famous Mumbai Marine Drive. And if you have the chance to visit, if there is no fog or smog, it really provides one of the most beautiful vantage points for viewing a city skyline in all of India. And I was not the only one trying to steal a glance. There were a whole slew of people out there with me, all enjoying this tiny moment of sunshine and beautiful ocean air. I mean, if you look closely, you can even see that there was a rainbow. And it wasn't even June. You love to see it. The sunset ultimately did end up getting obscured by the clouds, but in monsoon season, beggars can't be choosers. Thankfully, even after dark, the rain continued to hold off, and so I went on my next mission, seeing all the beautifully lit buildings of Mumbai. This was easily the coolest part of the trip, and it's not even close. At night, many of the famous buildings in the city are lit up in artistic and beautiful ways. It makes walking around at night one of the best activities to do in all of Mumbai, and it's free. The most iconic, for sure, is the Gateway of India, which sometimes at night looks really, really cool like the rest of these buildings. For whatever reason, it wasn't lit up during my trip, but I did get to see it during the day, and you know, it's cool, I guess. Very nearby the gate is the real lighting attraction, which is actually just a waterfront hotel. But it's stunning. There are so many others, and you can honestly just spend a couple hours walking through Colaba after dark, and you'll see so many of these incredible buildings. There are some of those expensive tours that I mentioned that will drive you between these at night, which is a good option if you're short on time or you're maybe not a great walker. But honestly, you can and maybe should just do it for free if you're able. I ended up snagging a couple other meals in Mumbai that I'll mention briefly here because they were really good, but they're also not Indian food. I was craving pizza, so I stopped over at Pizza by the Bay on Marine Drive. I got a barbecue chicken, stuffed crust, personal pan pizza, which is pretty inclusive of all the foods that I love. I also went to a cafe near the famous Bollywood Regal Cinema called Cafe Mondegar. It was packed, so I decided to walk in and check it out just based on how many people there were. It's a great spot for beer and bar food. I had onion rings and fries, and I thought I was ordering chicken tenders. I did. Is that embarrassing? Should I not have said that? It was great. And combined, these two places definitely satisfied my craving for some typical American food after all the Indian curries that I had been eating. But honestly, still, I was on the fence about how I felt about Mumbai on the whole. Mumbai, like other expensive places in the world, like New York City or Hong Kong or Singapore, is located on an island. Space is very limited and in high demand, and as such, prices go way up. So because of that, I think I've decided that I do recommend Mumbai to some people, and to others, I do not. So who is this for? Well, if the idea of visiting India makes you nervous in any way due to the traffic and the fast pace, then I do recommend visiting Mumbai. In Colaba specifically, the tuk-tuks or the auto rickshaws as they're known locally that are so iconic to India are actually illegal. As such, the traffic patterns are a little more typical, a little less congested, and things run in a more organized fashion. Also, unlike in many Indian cities, there are pretty good sidewalks in Mumbai, and Colaba is pretty walkable. As such, the city is much more accessible to tourism than many other places in India. If you're a seasoned traveler or you've been to India before, I think you can get a much more accurate picture of India on the whole by visiting places like Jaipur or Kolkata for a much more reasonable price. Mumbai is the city of dreams, and I totally see where it gets its name, from the ocean to the beautiful lights to Bollywood. But living out your dreams can come at a high cost, and unfortunately, that is very true in Mumbai.